Welcome back to the Deep Dive. This is where we break down foundational source material and research, really digging in to give you usable insight that sticks.
Today, we are getting into a really powerful piece of teaching. It's drawn from a commentary called Divine Defense, a commentary on Psalm 124.
And this study, which comes to us from the You Need Faith in Jesus team, is grounded in the King James Version, the KJV.
It is, and it's a short psalm, only 8 verses, but it packs an unbelievable theological punch.
Absolutely. And the structure itself is, well, it's fascinating. It's attributed to David, and it's called a Song of Degrees.
Right, a song of ascents. The source material gives great context on this. These psalms from 120 to 134 were likely sung by pilgrims as they were literally ascending up to Jerusalem.
It's a travel song.
It is, but it's more than that. The commentary suggests these songs reflect a spiritual ascent, too. Moving from distress to deliverance, from danger to a place of dependence on God.
That gives it a sense of movement right away.
Yeah.
It's not static. So our mission for this deep dive is to pull out those critical lessons on gratitude, vigilance, and ultimate trust in God's sovereignty.
Exactly. We're going to trace the journey David lays out, moving from this terrifying what-if scenario.
The hypothetical horror.
Yes, to the glorious certainty of the what-is of divine defense. It's a journey that really forces a sober reflection before you can get to confident worship.
Okay, let's start there with that reflection.
So David kicks it off, not with praise, but with this foundational premise. He forces the listener to face a really uncomfortable alternative.
He frames their whole existence as a miracle. Let's read the text. This is Psalm 124, verses 1 and 2 from the King James Version. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side, now may Israel say, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us.
What's so remarkable, and what the source material from the You Need Faith in Jesus team really highlights, is the repetition.
He says it twice. If it had not been the Lord who was on our side.
Exactly. He's drilling the point home. He's making sure you cannot just skim over this. You have to sit with that alternative reality for a moment.
So why do that? I mean, if they already knew they survived, why force them back into what the commentary calls a terrifying counterfactual history? Why not just say, the Lord was on our side, we won?
That is a crucial question. And the commentary argues it's to stop spiritual complacency, dead in its tracks.
Nah.
If he just said, we survived because God helped, people might, minimize the danger or maybe even credit some of their own efforts.
Right. Our army was strong, our strategy was smart.
Precisely. By forcing them to dwell on the negative, on the what-if, David prevents 2 spiritual diseases, arrogance and forgetfulness.
Okay. Arrogance because they might think they were superior.
Yes. And forgetfulness because, as time goes on, the terror fades. The next generation takes security for granted. David is commanding them, stop. Before you celebrate, you have to seriously consider the alternative.
Which would have been complete destruction.
And the commentary is clear. This isn't about one single event. It defines the context as the constant reality of their existence.
When men rose up against us.
That was their background noise. I mean, look at where Israel was on a map, surrounded, constantly pressed by hostile empires, the Philistines, Egypt, Assyria.
So without God's active moment-by-moment help, their history would just be a blank page.
They would have been swallowed up before they even got started, and that realization that their very existence is a miracle is what generates real gratitude.
It strips away any other possible explanation.
Yes. The repetition ensures that's the only conclusion left.
And this what-if that David explores, he gets a powerful answer later on, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. The commentary draws this fantastic line from David's historical anxiety to Paul's theological confidence in the New Testament.
It's the move from the fearful question to the celebrated reality. Let's go to Romans chapter 8, verse 31 from the KJV. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us?
That's it. That's the triumphant answer. David makes us contemplate the terror if God were not for us, to produce gratitude. Paul flips it into the loudest possible declaration of confidence.
The logic is identical, though. The deciding factor is the Lord's presence.
It is. It transforms the whole question. It's no longer, what if we fail? It becomes, who could possibly succeed against us if the Creator is on our side?
It just settles the debate.
And this leads right into the first practical step the source material emphasizes, which is the cultivation of gratitude.
This isn't just a generic thank you, though. The instruction here is to regularly pause and consider where you would actually be without God's saving grace.
It requires a deliberate mental shift. We're so trained to credit our own resilience, our hard work. I got through that because I was strong.
So how do we do that practically?
Well, the You Need Faith in Jesus team suggests kind of historical revision. Look back at a close call in your life, a moment you avoided disaster. Now ask yourself, what was the logical outcome there? If you remove your effort, if you remove luck, where were things headed? Often, it's toward ruin. The gap between that logical ruin and where you actually are, that's the evidence of his presence.
So the challenge for you, the listener, is to do that this week. Pinpoint a moment of deliverance, then rewind it. Take yourself out of the equation. If God hadn't been on your side, where would you have landed? That sobering thought is what produces real, potent gratitude.
And that gratitude is the fuel for worship. That's practical step one.
So after establishing that we should be grateful for our survival, David immediately turns up the volume on the danger itself. He gets graphic.
He does. He describes exactly what their fate would have been. Let's read Psalm 124, verse 3 from the KJV. Then they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us.
Swallowed us up quick. That phrasing is just terrifying.
It is. The commentary points out that the Hebrew word here implies being devoured alive, a sudden, violent end, like prey being consumed by some great beast. No struggle, no hope.
It's the finality of it. And the fuel for this, he says, was their wrath.
Yes, a hot, burning fury. That's how the material from the You Need Faith in Jesus team defines it. This wasn't a strategic move for territory. It was hatred aimed at total annihilation.
So Israel is facing this overwhelming hateful power. Logically, they should have been helpless.
Completely. And the commentary pushes us to see this not just as a historical enemy, but as a parallel to our spiritual adversary.
Which takes us to the New Testament.
Exactly. We see the same imagery. Let's quote 1 Peter chapter 5, verse 8 from the KJV. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour.
There it is again, the devouring beast.
The enemy's goal is the same today, to swallow us up quick, to bring us to complete ruin. The commentary is very stark on this point.
So this is a really key takeaway from the source material. Our protection isn't found in being smarter than the devil or stronger than temptation.
No. If we rely on our own willpower, we're just that bird struggling in the net. We only make it worse. Our security is solely in the fact that the Lord is on our side, actively restraining the enemy.
So when you feel that intense pressure, that hot burning fury of opposition, the immediate response is to pivot back to verse 1. If it had not been the Lord.
It shifts your hope from your own finite ability to his infinite power. It elevates the stakes. This isn't just about a bad day, it's about eternal survival.
Okay, so from the devouring beast, David then shifts the metaphor completely.
He does. He's relentless. He moves from that personal, motivated threat to something more vast and impersonal, a flood.
Let's read verses 4 and 5 from the KJV. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul. Then the proud waters had gone over our soul.
The shift is brilliant. A beast is a predator you can maybe evade. A flood. A flood is just this relentless, all-consuming force.
It doesn't hate you, just sweeps you away.
And the analysis in the source material points out this terrifying progression. First, the waters had overwhelmed us. That's the physical shock.
But then it gets worse.
Much worse. The stream had gone over our soul. This is a deep, life-extinguishing disaster. It's suffocating your spirit, your hope.
And then he adds that descriptor. The proud waters. Why proud?
The commentary suggests this points to the arrogance and the unstoppable might of the enemy's attack. It perfectly captures that feeling of being completely swamped, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. When the crises just keep stacking up. Debt, family issues, health problems. It feels like the water is rising and there's no ground left to stand on.
Exactly. The enemy's attack often comes as this overwhelming torrent designed to drown our spirit.
And if the flood is that powerful, what hope is there?
Well, the commentary provides the perfect counterpromise, pivoting straight to a prophecy in Isaiah.
This is where we shift from the power of the threat to the power of the defense.
Right. Let's read from Isaiah chapter 59, verse 19 in the King James Version. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the Spirit of the Lord shall lift up a standard against him.
Wow. The juxtaposition is incredible. The psalm describes the flood that would have gone over our soul. Isaiah reveals the power that stops it. What exactly is a standard in this context?
It's military language. A standard is a battle flag, a rallying point. But critically, it's also a boundary marker. It means God establishes a line that the enemy cannot cross.
So he's not just hoping the flood goes down.
No, he is actively intervening. He is our defense, the immovable object against that seemingly irresistible force.
That speaks directly to us today. The pressures of life feel like rising water, threatening to sweep away our peace, our soul.
But the guarantee here, which the analysis from the You Need Faith in Jesus team reinforces, is that while those proud waters may rage, the Lord stands as our defense. He prevents the flood from going over our soul.
So he might not instantly remove the problem.
But he lifts a standard within the problem, ensuring that even if we get wet, we don't drown. And that's a crucial distinction for faith in hard times.
So the reflection on the horror is done, and now this psalm just makes this magnificent pivot.
A complete tonal shift. In verse 6, we move from the hypothetical what if to the joyful certainty of the what is.
It's immediate. Let's read Psalm 124, verse 6, KJV. Blessed be the Lord who hath not given us as a prey to their teeth.
Blessed be the Lord. That's the first response. And notice we're right back to the imagery of the beast from verse 3.
But this time the outcome is totally different.
Totally. God has actively prevented them from being given as prey. The commentary stresses how personal this is. This isn't luck. God intervened and snatched them from the very jaws of destruction.
A graphic picture of salvation.
Absolutely. The prey was vulnerable, the predator was ready, but the shepherd stepped in.
And this leads to a really important point about how we worship.
Yes, the commentary from the You Need Faith in Jesus team makes a powerful case that our worship should be specific. We bless the Lord not just for some general goodness, but for the specific ways he's intervened.
To make this point, the material links back to another psalm, doesn't it?
It does. A prayer David made earlier in Psalm 3, verse 7 from the KJV. Thou hast smitten all mine enemies upon the cheekbone. Thou hast broken the teeth of the ungodly.
That is incredibly specific. He prayed for their teeth to be broken, and now he's praising God for not giving him his prey to their teeth.
It's a direct answer, and that brings us to practical step 2 for you, the listener. Make your worship specific.
Don't just thank God for blessings.
No. Name the financial ruin he diverted. Name the spiritual deception he kept you from. Bless him because he rescued you from the very teeth of the enemy, the specific dangers that were aimed at tearing you apart.
That specificity makes faith tangible. It roots our praise in actual events.
And then David gives us another image, moving from the beast's jaws to the quiet cunning of a trap. This is maybe the most beautiful image of deliverance in the whole psalm.
Psalm 124, verse 7, KJV. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken, and we are escaped.
You can just picture it, a small bird, completely helpless in a net. And the crucial part is, the more it struggles,
the more entangled it gets.
Exactly. Its own efforts guarantee its capture. Escape is impossible without outside help.
It's a perfect analogy for being trapped in sin or addiction or anything we can't free ourselves from. And then comes that glorious two-part declaration.
The snare is broken, and we are escaped. That is the core of the rescue. God, the external power, intervened and smashed the trap. He didn't just loosen it. He broke it.
So the liberation is absolute. We didn't fly out on our own strength. The snare had to be broken for us.
And this image connects directly to the New Testament's description of sin as the ultimate trap.
Paul uses this exact language. We have to quote 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 26 from the KJV. And that they may recover themselves out of the snare of the devil who were taken captive by him at his will.
The commentary helps us understand that before Christ, we were all in that snare, captive, unable to free ourselves.
And the analysis from the You Need Faith in Jesus team emphasizes this so well. Salvation is this exact picture. Jesus didn't just teach us how to untangle ourselves better. He came, and on the cross, he broke the power of the snare itself.
Our freedom is a gift of intervention, not self-liberation. The trap is destroyed. Our ability to fly, to walk in freedom, is restored. We are escaped.
That just deepens the gratitude, doesn't it? Every day we aren't consumed or drowned is because the snare was broken by a complete act of divine intervention.
So now David brings it all home. He's taken us through the reflection, the terror, the joy of deliverance. And in the final verse, he gives us the unshakable anchor for it all.
This is the foundation. Psalm 124, verse 8, KJV. Our help is in the name of the Lord who made heaven and earth.
It's the ultimate source analysis. He explicitly states that their survival wasn't because of their army or their king's wisdom. Their help is purely and completely divine.
And it's in the name of the Lord. We need to unpack that phrase.
We do. In Hebrew culture, the name is so much more than an identifier. As the source material notes, it represents the person's entire character, authority, power, and reputation.
So to trust in the name is to trust in the totality of who God is, his faithfulness, his justice, his power.
Exactly. When you call on his name, you are invoking the fullness of his character to act on your behalf. It's access to the living God.
And David doesn't stop there. He gives the ultimate credential to remove any doubt about the capability of this help.
He does. He says it's the Lord who made heaven and earth.
That's the theological mic drop.
It really is. He's saying, you're worried about these tiny enemies on earth, about a little flood. The one helping us is the one who created everything out of nothing.
The power differential is infinite.
If he can speak galaxies into existence, he can handle our problems. The commentary makes it clear. His power is limitless, and that power is the anchor of our confidence.
This connects our smallest personal need to the cosmic power of the Creator.
It does. And this idea of safety in his name is reinforced elsewhere, giving us a really usable image.
Let's go to Proverbs chapter 18, verse 10, KJV. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe.
That's the perfect picture. Our help isn't an abstract idea, it's a fortress. When the flood rises, we're invited to stop struggling and run into that unassailable tower.
Which brings us to the final practical step from the You Need Faith in Jesus team commentary, running to the name.
In every trial, our confidence rests not in our ability to solve the problem, but in the active choice to run to the character and power of the Creator.
And what does that look like, practically?
It means you stop trying to build a better dam with your own flimsy materials. You stop building and you start trusting. You run into his character. You declare the truth of his name over your situation. You are my provider. You are my fortress.
You surrender the problem to the one with infinite resources.
That's the pivot. The shift from self-reliance to absolute reliance. It's the difference between anxiety and peace. And it brings us full circle from our helplessness to the tower that is strong enough.
So we've walked through this incredible psalm. We started with that sobering reflection on destruction being swallowed, being drowned.
And then we moved to the triumph of deliverance. The teeth denied, the snare broken, our soul escaped.
But it's all anchored in that final, magnificent declaration. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth.
And this whole discussion, guided by the material from the You Need Faith in Jesus team, it really leaves us with 3 key things to do.
First, cultivate that specific gratitude. Pause and recognize his constant faithful intervention in the specific details of your life.
Second, maintain vigilance, but recognize your ultimate defense. The enemy is real, but the Lord is our standard against every flood.
And finally, practice running to the name. Your strong tower is the character and limitless power of the Creator. Rely on his intervention.
So we've established that our defense is backed by the Creator of everything. So here's our final thought for you to take with you this week.
Go on.
Since your help is backed by that limitless power, consider the sheer scale of his creation. But don't think about the stars. Think smaller. Think about the staggering complexity of a single leaf, or the self-healing mechanism in your own body. If that level of power, that ingenuity and precision, is actively backing you, what earthly or spiritual problem could possibly be big enough to overwhelm the foundation of your help? That is the glorious reality of divine defense you're invited to explore further.